What's up? This is it. This is the last video right here. We're going to do this. 5.5 applications, and welcome to memorizing formulas. Have a good one on that. So we got 4 of them here, although these 2 are very much the same. And instead of sitting here and blabbing about this, I'm just going to show you how to use them inside problems, because it's not terrible to try to memorize these things, except for maybe these 2. You've probably heard interest equals principal times rate times time, or maybe know how to do commission. But these percent of increase and decrease, let me show you. We're going to start with that top one, though. Okay, so I got 4 big old word problems, one for each one of these. Susan works at the Acura dealership in Winchester. Now imagine yourself selling Acura cars. These are high-dollar cars. Last month, she had car sales totaling $230,000. Her commission rate is 3%. How much money did she earn in commission last month? That means every month, she gets 3% of what she sells. So if you have, if you're her and you get $2,300, that's the sales. Now the rate times the sales equals her commission. So you basically just take the total number that she sold and multiply it by 3%. Now we don't use the percent sign. We go like this: 230,000 times 0.03, because we're going to convert that baby to a decimal, and then you just calculator that thing. This times that. It's always a percent times a dollar amount, and that equals commission. And in this case, $6,900. And that is her monthly commission. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Here's the next question. This is exactly, if you've ever watched the show Biggest Loser, that's how it works. So this is how they figure out a percentage of weight loss, or percent of decrease in this case. You have this guy named Tim. He weighed 267 pounds before starting an exercise routine. 2 years later, he weighed a healthy 183 pounds. What is the percent of decrease in Tim's weight? And round your answer to the nearest percent. So we're going to use this one right here, the percent of decrease. So the percent of decrease equals the amount of decrease divided by the original. All right? So what we're going to do is we're going to work on the right side of this thing. We're going to figure out how much he lost. Okay, how much weight he lost. So that's 200, and that number I don't have, so I'm going to have to figure this out. 83, so that's 4. Make that a 5 and that a 1. And so that'd be 74 pounds. So he lost 74 pounds. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. This is what happens when I go too fast. Let's fix that. Let's act like that didn't happen. We go back here. This, where am I at? This becomes a 1. That's 16 is 84 pounds. 84 pounds. He lost 84 pounds. He's trying to hustle there over the original. Now the original, when you see these problems, whether it's an amount of increase problem or decrease problem, it's always the starting amount. So think of original amount as where he started. Whatever it is, whether it's a price of a new car or a weight loss thing, whatever it is, then after you have the amount that it went down, in this case, 84 pounds, over the original, you divide this from top to bottom on your calculator, 84 divided by this, and you'll get a decimal of something like 0.315, and then you have to convert it back to a percent. So this is 31.5%. Think about that. He lost 31.5% of himself. That's crazy. It's almost a third of himself. Next one. Walter borrowed. This is the interest problem here, by the way. There's going to be 2 of these because the one's easy and one's tricky. Walter borrowed $3,000 for a student loan to finish college this year. Next year, he'll try to pay 7% simple interest on the amount he borrowed. How much interest will he need to pay next year? Okay, so we got interest equals principal times rate, which is a percentage, times time, which is amount of time in years. The principal, if you're wondering what's that mean, the principal is the amount of money. So it's good. In this case, it's going to be $3,000. So $3,000 times the interest rate, which is 7%. So converting it to a decimal is going to be 0.07. Okay, we're just going to skip that step and change 7% to a decimal. You should be getting comfortable with that. And then you have to figure out what the time period is. So it says how much interest will he need to pay next year. Next year sounds like 1 year to me. 1 year. So you would multiply this left to right straight across. 3,000 times 0.07 times 1. And when you do that, you're going to get $210. And that's the interest that he's going to need to pay. Now, it could have asked you how much total will he need to pay back. And if it does, you add the interest and the principal together, and that's the amount you're going to pay back. But in this case, it just asks you how much interest will he need to pay. All right, so that one, not too bad. But let me show you the last one that has a funky time in it. So it's in months, and I'll show you how to convert it. Here we go. Maya needed to borrow $9,200 for 3 months to finance some renovations for her gift shop. The interest rate was 15% per year. How much interest did she have to pay for borrowing the money for 3 months? That's not 3 years. You can't put a 3 here. If you do, the math is going to assume you mean 3 years, and your interest is going to be way too high. So interest, principal, times rate, times time. Easy to remember that. Interest, and we are finding out how much interest. So that's the principal, $9,200, times the rate, which is 15%. What a rip. So 0.15. I'll put that in parentheses so you can see that. You can make that an X, whatever. Times the time period. I'll make this in red so it sticks out. 3 months. 3 months is not 3 years. 3 months is 3 out of how many months? Out of 12. Now, 3 out of 12. You could leave it and use the fraction key. No problem. 3 out of 12 is a famous fraction. 3 out of 12 is 1/4. So what most people do over the years is they'll say 0.15 times 0.25 and then just straight multiply it straight across. This is still interest. And if you take 9,200 times 0.15 times 0.25, you should get $345 interest in the 3 months. Remember, this is where people will make mistakes. It just will happen. I've never had a class where people all get this right. But if it says months, you have to hit the brakes and divide it by 12. So if it's 6 months, it's 6 over 12, which is a half. Okay? 9 months, 8 months, whatever it is. Convert it to a decimal by taking 3 divided by 12. That's what we're doing. Top to bottom, 3 over 12. This theme keeps happening. Have a good class in the rest of the year.